Hi everyone, my name's Angela and this is going to be my spoiler-free review of Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man by Jesse Cusitanto. The first book is called Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers, and I read this in 2023 and I absolutely loved it. I gave it 4.5 stars. I did listen to it on audio, and the audiobook is narrated by Wong, who does a really fantastic job of bringing Vera's character to life and also making all of the side characters sound really distinct and different from Vera. So I went ahead and listened to the sequel on audio as well. If you don't know what the first book is, we basically have our main character, Vera Wong, who is a older but not elderly woman living in San Francisco, and she runs a tea shop which is not very frequented by customers. And one day she comes downstairs and there is a dead body in her tea shop, and so this kind of kicks off this investigation and Vera meddling in said investigation, even though she is not a police officer or a professional of any sort. But she does not think that the police are doing a very good job investigating, so she takes things into her own hands in a slightly illegal but very charming way. And if you've heard anyone talk about this series, you've probably heard them rave about the found family in this series, which is really what makes it so cozy and comforting, even though there is murder and there are heavier topics in these books. But overall, I would say that these mysteries are definitely cozy and leaning. In the second book, Vera does not find a body anywhere on her property, but she does find a young woman outside of a police station who looks really lost and like she needs someone to talk to. So Vera invites her to come to her tea shop and talk to her. Vera is a very like motherly, grandmotherly presence to a lot of the side characters, and so you see her kind of trying to adopt this new girl into the group, and she decides to help her find her missing friend. And it turns out that this girl's missing friend is this influencer that has recently died mysteriously, and so these two mysteries kind of converge, and we watch as Vera kind of mother hens all of these suspects in the case, people who were involved in this guy's life, and obviously she tries to solve his disappearance slash murder. It's not a spoiler that he's dead, it does say that in the synopsis. And not only is he dead, but no one seems to really be able to identify him, because even though our characters know who he is, they don't know his real legal name. So some of our characters know him as an influencer and others don't know that he's an influencer, and none of them seem to really know who he really is. So like I said, we do kind of have this found family cozy trope in the second book as well, with a new set of characters. And that's really all you need to know about the second book without spoiling anything. I gave this book 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it, I had a good time, but I had some complaints, some things that I didn't like, and I didn't think that it had all the magic of the first book, which I gave 4.5 stars, like I said. So I think a full star rating down from the first one made sense for me, and a 3.5 is a good rating, but it means that it's not a new favorite by any means. It's not really good, it's just good, enjoyable, had a good time. I think it's hard to recreate the found family magic of the first book a second time, because in the beginning of the first book, Vera is quite lonely and she really is looking for people to talk to, and the way that these people come into her life is very charming and interesting and quirky and, you know, original. And in the second book, obviously you have already read that first book, and so the situation isn't new anymore, and Vera also has a solid group of friends and family. I also felt like the side characters, the suspects in this crime, weren't quite as interesting and fleshed out as in the first book. So that did take away from my enjoyment, because I was just constantly kind of comparing it to the first book, and even when I wasn't comparing it, it just wasn't giving me strong feelings. This book has a lot of influencer talk. One of the suspects is an influencer, just like our murder victim. I really don't enjoy hearing about influencers in books. I don't mind famous people, I don't mind singers or actors, but something about influencers and just hearing or reading about them like creating content and all of this stuff just is really quite annoying. I understand that it was necessary for the plot of this book, but wasn't my favorite. I do kind of wish that the author had chosen a different way of, I don't know how she could have created this exact story, but it just wasn't my favorite to read about, and that did take away some enjoyment. I did find myself you know, getting out of the reading experience to think this is annoying, and you never really want that while reading a book. And then the main complaint that I had that made this like lower than a 4-star read for me, even though I really love Vera as a character and I really love Jesse Q. Sutanto's writing, was just the mystery itself. I said in my Goodreads review that there wasn't a reveal, which is not true. What I meant was that there isn't a surprising reveal, because the reveal that you get is very much something that you can surmise throughout the book just because of the hints that the author gives you. And even if you haven't put all of the pieces together in the way that they are given to you eventually, you still understand like the general direction that the story is going in. So I was kind of expecting like another reveal or another twist, and we just didn't get that, so it was just kind of flat at the end. Obviously this is like a cozier mystery, so things don't necessarily end up as bleak and terrible as they might in like a psychological thriller or a darker book. So I did appreciate that, but even though this is cozy, I still would have appreciated being really shocked and surprised. I was really shocked and surprised at the reveal / twist of the first book, so I did kind of have that expectation for this book. I just didn't think the mystery plotline was as well crafted and interesting as the first book. But I do think lovers of the first book in this series will still really enjoy this. I don't think there are going to be a lot of people who go into this and hate it, because at the end of the day, if you love the first book, you love it because of Vera. And Vera is still very much the same character who has grown and changed, but you know, she's still Vera. And so I think that even if this book isn't, you know, a 5-star and the first book was, I still think that you will enjoy it. I don't think the mystery is anything to write home about, and I also felt like some of the topics within the mystery were like so dark and sad that it kind of definitely took away from the cozy vibe. I know murder isn't cozy by any means, but I think you go into a murder mystery, you kind of expect murder. It's like kind of a neutral thing. I'm not like sad that someone was murdered necessarily, but some of the topics that were delved into just made me feel down and sad, and yeah, not the coziest topics surrounding this mystery. But like I said, I do really love Vera as a character. I like the writing. I think the dialogue and the humor is clever. I did, you know, chuckle throughout this book like multiple times, numerous times. So I definitely think Jesse Q. Sutanto's goal of writing a cozy, humorous book is overall definitely achieved. It just didn't live up to the high standards that I had for it, and that's okay because I still had a good time. So I was a little disappointed right after I finished, just thinking like, oh man, this wasn't as good as the first one. But overall, really glad I read it. I will definitely continue in this series on audio, and honestly really recommend the audiobooks. I think having someone as humorous and idiosyncratic as Vera really lends itself to an audiobook, and Eunice Wong is such a talented performer. That is all I have for you guys. If you read this book, let me know what you thought of it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more bookish content from me, and I hope you have a lovely week.